Greetings to all of you. Welcome to the course Instruction for Good Learning. This may look like a new title. First we need to explain what is the purpose of this unit. Understand the purpose and outcomes of the course Instruction for Good Learning. That is what we are trying to explain in this unit. Okay. Now we start with requirements of engineering education in India. The National Board of Accreditation (NBA) requires at present that all engineering programs attain the program outcomes and program specific outcomes and demonstrate that they are continuously improving their performance. You have to demonstrate that through a report called SAR and also demonstrate it to the committee that you are doing so. Outcome based education and accreditation became the foci of higher education in India. That is, since 2015 these two have become major goals of engineering education: outcome based education and accreditation. NEP 2020 now, something that is added, requires that education should be multidisciplinary and holistic. That is, and not only that, we also are required to meet or participate in a profession while meeting the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. There are 17 of them, and the graduate should be aware of these things. How do you integrate that into the curriculum is a major challenge. And when you have so many requirements, they cannot be met intuitively. That one cannot, even an expert in a particular subject cannot be left to himself to decide how exactly to go about doing it, because expertise in a subject does not automatically lead to or capable of facilitating a student to attain certain targets defined in a different way. Okay. So, these requirements cannot be met intuitively. Newly inducted and practicing teachers in engineering programs to plan and conduct instructional activities of their courses to facilitate their students to attain stated outcomes. Okay. There are some outcomes stated as per OBE, and you have to ensure that the teacher facilitates that the students attain this. Okay. So, to that extent this course will be of immediate relevance or importance to all the newly inducted teachers as well as participating teachers, because there are several changes that are continuously taking place at the national level. It is a 3-credit course and of 12 weeks duration. Each week will have 5 half-hour video lectures. The course will have weekly assignments. The participants can seek clarification using the forum. There will be 2 live sessions for direct interaction with the resource persons. Okay. There will be an end of the term online proctored examination in designated centers. This is how the course would be. The course will have mainly 3 resource persons. One is N.J. Rao, that is myself, and Professor K. Rajnikant and Professor R. Chandrasekhar. The course will provide an understanding of what learning and instructions are. Here, any subject that you take, the terms that we use in that subject are very well defined and there are no ambiguities when you use a word. Unfortunately, in the area of education, there is no such standard terminology. Many words are used to mean the same thing, and a person may use the same word in different contexts to mean different things. So, you always, when even two teachers communicate with one another or in any platform with several teachers there, when you are speaking something, it is not very clear what the other person is saying. Your sentence may be very clear, you may be very clear, but the other person may understand it completely differently. So, that is one problem with the area of education. Even today, internationally, the terminology related to teaching and learning activities has not been standardized. So, here the two words we use, learning and instruction, we will exactly define what they mean, at least with respect to our course, and we expect teachers to keep using these words to mean that in all contexts. Okay. Course will also provide an understanding of instructional situations and instructional components. Instructional situation is when you represents when a teacher is going to a classroom, he is operating in a particular context or particular environment or under certain constraints. First of all, there is a physical constraint, the kind of classroom that you have, the comfort level that the students feel when they are sitting, whether it is overcrowded or not. You have, and then what is the policy of the college with regard to their attendance, and then you have a whole lot of other constraints which indirectly come or directly come from the college management as well as department management. They will say you must do this, you must spend this much time in working out problems in the classroom itself, or otherwise you have to take extra classes. So, all this together will define what you call instructional situation. So, certain things are dictated by this written or unwritten instructional situation, and this instructional situation will extensively vary from one institute to the other, from one department to the other. It depends on the kind of students that you have, it depends on the management that you have, and so on. Instructional components are much smaller things, like asking a question in the classroom to the students. That means you are eliciting the response of the students to something to find out, or you want the students to write 2 sentences on what you have presented in the last 15 minutes, let us say. Ask them to write short note like 1 or 2 sentences. That is an instructional component. Or giving a lecture is an instructional component, or solving a problem is an instructional component, or presenting a picture is one instructional component. So, there are large number of instructional components. What a teacher does is he selects the instructional components depending on the nature of the subject or the nature of curriculum that you have, and the quality of the students or the facilities that you have. He selects some of these components together and strings them together to actually instruct. And so, there are instructional components. We will present some common instructional components that any teacher can make use of. Sometimes it also depends on the technologies that you have access to. Then the course will also provide an understanding of instructional theories. We will leave it at that, we will explain elaborately later. That is, if a teacher follows this particular way of instruction, the student is likely to learn better. Okay, it is a kind of a prescriptive one. So, some of the theories that we have are the theories we are going to practice during the course will be presented. And there are several instructional methods for the teacher to choose from. Instructional methods, most common one that we all use, we call it direct instruction. We lecture. Lecturing is one-way transmission of knowledge. Sometimes we ask them to discuss among themselves or solve a problem together. These are all instructional methods, and there are some small methods grouped together, like you have problem based learning, you have project based learning, design thinking. These are all instructional methods that an engineering program can make use of. We will present those methods. And then there is plenty of information technology tools already available in the market, both an readily free resource as well as commercially available IT tools are available. It depends on what the institute has access to, and some of these tools we will be explaining and how to integrate them in conducting your course. Now, there are certain prerequisites of this course. That is, if you directly enter this course, you will have some issues, because a lot of things we take for granted in offering this course. So, the NPTEL courses, TALE or NATE, or there is another course called OBE and accreditation, or any equivalent of that, equivalent, mind you, and if they become prerequisites, that is, for you to take full benefit of this course or properly understand what is going to be presented in this course, you preferably should have done one of these courses or its equivalent. Generally, what are the elements of a course? A course kind of consists three things broadly. We call them course outcomes. They clearly state what the students are expected to be able to do at the end of the course. Sometimes we call it syllabus, sometimes we give a list of topics. There are all kinds of things that are done, but you state upfront, right at the beginning of the semester, what the student is expected to be doing at the end of the course. So, it is very clear to the students what is it, how he should prepare or how he should study and what kind of abilities he should acquire. That is outcomes, statement of outcomes. Then how do we know that the student has attained these outcomes? We design assessments. Assessment should be what we call in alignment with the outcomes. That means, if assessments are bad, then you are not making sure that the student have achieved the outcomes. Okay? We will elaborate that what is meant by alignment and what is, or it has been already explained in the prerequisite courses as well. And now the third part is actual instruction, what you do in the classroom or how you organize. The third part is instruction that facilitates the students to attain the stated course outcomes. Now, both the students and teachers will have to strive together to attain the outcomes that are stated. And how do we facilitate that? There are endless ways of doing it. Each faculty member, depending on the nature of the subject, depending on the abilities of the students, and depending on the technologies he has access to or the technologies that he is familiar with, he can plan. So, there are infinite ways of doing instruction. So, nothing is prescribed, but at the beginning of the course itself, the teacher should be very clear how exactly he would be doing it, and wherever it is necessary that if the students need to be familiar with certain technology, he has to ensure that the students are familiar with those technologies. Okay. So, planning instruction is going to take very elaborate process, and that is what we will mainly address in this course. So, these are the three components. Please remember that in all the subsequent courses also we will keep using outcomes, assessment and instruction. Now, let us look at specifically the course outcomes of this particular course. Understand what instruction is, because this is course itself is called Instruction for Good Learning. Understand what instruction is, and there are two instructional theories, one due to Merrill and the other one is Kolb. We will be using them. We will be presenting you how it is to be done. As I mentioned earlier, these are two of the instructional theories. It does not mean that everyone will have to necessarily follow this. If a teacher is familiar with another set of instructional theories, then he can also use that, but plan it completely within those using those theories for good learning. Understand the nature of instructional situations, instructional components and instructional strategies. I have already explained what they are, so we will elaborate on that. Understand the instructional methods including direct instruction, scaffolding and metacognition. We will not elaborate at this stage, but they are certain instructional methods. Understand the instructional methods including problem based learning, project based learning and design thinking. For engineers, we consider these three areas are very important, which are generally not part of the most of the current day engineering programs. Now, this particular instructional methods have to be brought into the regular practice. And then understand instruction for critical thinking. Critical thinking is a word that is used by every policy maker, every government official, or even at an institute also, right from vice chancellor level to everyone uses that. But I am yet to see any program where some activities are planned to facilitate critical thinking. We will try to make some presentation, we will see how it happens. Understand how to plan and conduct courses online and in blended mode. Now, last 5 years people are quite familiar with online courses. For example, all the NPTEL courses are online. There are significant advantages and there are also certain issues, limitations, and there is another method called blended learning. As the word itself indicates, there is some face to face interaction as well as some online activities. By proper mix of that and doing whatever activities that are advantageous are more convenient to do in that mode, we mix them. To what level they are to be mixed, how to plan for that will depend on the technology that you have access to, that we will elaborate. And then we said technology is a major has evolved considerably, and there are new education technologies are coming into the market continuously, and we will be using the learning management system Moodle, which is for the past almost 15 years is quite popular, and it is also evolving continuously. And what you will be doing is how to use Moodle to conduct your course. It can be in a face-to-face mode also you can do, you can also do it in online, or some activities face-to-face, some activities in online mode. And it depends on the infrastructure that you have at your institute. Like some colleges have already make Moodle available on their college server, or they establish that platform, and all teachers have access and students have access to that platform. And sometimes the department alone may do, one department may do it, or sometimes if the department does not do, an individual faculty member can also have it on his computer, a Moodle, and then make use of it to conduct the course. So that will be presented through a number of sessions, how to incorporate Moodle to conduct your course. And we will also use the, in today's context everybody talks about AI and its significance. So we will also talk briefly, we are not going to design any software or tools for that, but how to use some of the available software AI tools for designing and conducting a course. And understand how to plan collaborative learning experiences and learning through games. Because why I put it in the last one is it requires considerable access and using technologies for that. If you want to organize collaborative learning in the classroom or in a course, you require the technology tools for that. And some people consider you can learn better through games. Yes, that will also be presented as a part of this course. So these are the course outcomes of the course Instruction for Good Learning. And in the next unit we will explain what learning is and features of good learning. Okay. First of all, I have to learn what learning itself is. Thank you for your attention. Welcome to the course once again.